Good morning, friends. It's Mrs. Carrillo, and I wanted to talk to you about lacing work. Lacing work in the classroom is a great way for a child to develop concentration, hand-eye concentration, and just concentration on looking at work and staying with it for a long time. So in the classroom, we have a couple of different pieces of lacing work on the shelf, and you may have similar things at your house. Right now, we have these lacing robots that come with a little piece of string where you would lace up and down. We have lacing spools and buttons that you can lace together. And we also have wooden lacing shapes. But perhaps you're in a situation where you don't have lacing, or maybe the lacing work in your house has been used a lot. So a great project to do with children is actually to make your own lacing work. And it's pretty simple, the things that you need. First of all, you need to decide what kind of shapes you want to make, and you'd need some cardboard. A cereal box is a really good thickness to make a lacing shape. So if you kind of open up and flatten out the cereal box, you can decide, what shapes would you like to make? Would you like to make moons or stars or hearts or squares? So you'd need the cardboard, you'd need scissors, a hole puncher, some yarn, or sometimes I like to use this crafting ribbon. And to make it similar to sewing, to what we do in the class, you would use a large needle like this. This is just a really large, thick embroidery needle. And so I went ahead and I made a couple of shapes. I decided to do sort of a weather theme since I feel like there's been a lot of sun and rain recently. So this is a sun that I cut out of cardboard and I painted it. I actually used those dot paints, but you could use watercolor or whatever paints you have at home. You could also use markers or crayons. And then I went around and popped holes, threaded my needle, and sewed up and down. And now I'm just adding some extra ribbon to be the sun's rays, and I'll go all the way around. So these are works in progress. And my other one that I made is a cloud. So I cut a cloud out of cardboard. Again, I painted it with that dot paint, which I think is kind of fun because it gave it sort of a fluffy look. And then I have been lacing up and down, just up and down, up and down. You can also go around. That's called a whip stitch, whereas this is just like a straight stitch, up and down, up and down. And then I've also hung some of that extra crafting ribbon on the bottom to give it the feeling of rain. So I'll show you some of the ways that it's nice for a child to concentrate. So together you could cut out the shapes that you want. Your child could paint them, let them dry. And then you'd use the hole puncher to go around and cut holes evenly spaced. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then your child in the classroom, when we're doing sewing work, the child cuts their own thread. So I usually say it's like the length of your arm or the length of your table. And then a really good piece of concentration is learning to thread the needle. These needles have a very large eye, and ribbon is actually pretty easy to thread. Yarn or embroidery floss might be a little harder because it can kind of fray, but this is going to slip right through. Maybe not on the first try, but that's fine. And then we slide it down, and I always like to tie a knot at the bottom to have the two together. This is a part your child can do independently. They certainly do in the classroom, depending on their age. And then they tie a knot. And then you just simply stitch up, pull it all the way to the knot. The knot is great because it keeps it from slipping all the way through. And down. So just a straight stitch. The ribbon's kind of crinkly, so it's not going to lay flat. Yarn would lay differently and probably look a little tidier. But this is sort of about the fun of it. And down, up, and down. And then maybe I'm going to decide I'm going to cut this and sort of leave these hanging to be some additional rain. And so you can experiment with your child, and I have a few more holes to go there that I'd have to fill in, right? Well, you can experiment with your child making some DIY lacing work. And when they're finished, they could hang it up or they could unlace it and do it all over again, whatever the child wants. So it might be nice to have, to make these together and set them out on a shelf with some ribbon or string and perhaps a large needle if you can find it. And have that be a work that your child can choose. So I hope you enjoyed my idea for some DIY lacing shapes, and maybe you'll give it a try today. Have a great day, friends. Bye.